Hey, it's Rich, the Louisiana Hobby Guy. In this workshop today, we're going to talk about windows and tabs in Lightburn. And the reason I want to talk about this is to help you maximize your production and save you a lot of time when you're working with your hobby laser by understanding the functions of the windows and the tabs. And whether you're a beginner or an advanced user, I know quite a few users that never take advantage of all of the features that Lightburn offers. So we're going to cover that today. And you know, I'm not an intro guy or anything like that. My intros are basically a description of what we're going to do. So we're just going to move right into it. Here are your windows over here. These are your toolbars up here. Anywhere that you click, I'm a right click fan. So anywhere that you click, you can bring these windows up. Now there's one thing I don't like, which is this toolbar right here. I don't like the short one, and I have the short one right now. So I'm going to turn that short one off, and I'm going to put the long one on. And the long one just gives me a lot more controls. You see up here? I still have the short one, but I have all these extra controls. And why I like these is because of the features. So if I were to take and draw something here, as an example, and I always work from the center of my work plane. So I have some controls over here. I can put it in the center just by clicking this one icon up here. Now if I had a CO2 laser, I might click this one and put it in the top left or top right corner. This one over here is where most diode lasers are going to be the home starting point, but I usually start from the middle, so I like to click that one there. You have other controls here that you can, once you've selected an item, they'll light up and you can browse through those. So it's not lit right now because I don't have two items. Now I have two items, three items, and if I select all of these, you'll see all of this lights up over here, and these are positioning icons. You see? So a lot of really powerful positioning icons right here, and that's the reason why I like the long one instead of the short one. Well, we'll just leave these here for now, I guess. Move them over just a little bit onto the work plane. As far as toolbars are concerned, you can move these any place that you want. If you wanted to grab this one and move it up on the side, I like it down on the bottom, so we're just going to leave it there. But you can move them any place that you like. Now you see, there's where I like mine right there. You can move these on the side, you can move these on the top, but really we're here to talk about windows today, windows and tabs. So let's go ahead and do that. The first thing is you can break these tabs out, grab it by the title bar right here, and move it anywhere that you want. And sometimes this is good because I like to have my cuts and layers. If I have like a lot of different layers and a lot of different cuts, for instance, let's say that I'm doing a let me come down here to a test and bring that out. You see that? You can it might fill up your screen, so I'll pull this one out occasionally. To get it back, all you do is grab it by the title bar, drop it on here until you see it turn blue. Or I don't know what color your screen is, but mine's blue. So I just drop it right there and it's back on a tab again. So now with our three items on the work plane, these are the layers over here. This is the priority settings on the right side, the up and down arrows. So as it is right now, it would be black, blue, green is what would burn. So if we preview this, and let me just put all these online so it's easier to see. So black, blue, green, left, middle, right. And if we preview it and scrub all the way to the beginning, you'll see left, middle, right. And that is the priority. Okay? If we come up here and we move green to the top, all we did is hit the up arrow, move green to the top, and preview it now, you'll see that green will burn first. It's now the priority, and then it'll go all the way to the left and then the middle. So wherever you put this, so if I move the blue one up, now the blue one will burn second. Now it'll go right to left. And let's scrub back, and you see right, middle, left. So that's our priority settings right there. If you have a layer that you don't want anymore, you can hit this trash button right here, and that will get rid of it. Not probably the best way to do it. I just click on it and delete it. And if I right click on the layer, it will show me what's on that particular layer by flashing. So right clicking will flash the layer. And if you have more than one item, that can be helpful. Sometimes you might have, 10 items, and you don't know where all of them are. So if you right click, it shows you where everything's located. Now, these here are your copy and paste buttons. Let's say you wanted to, line 3, you wanted to copy to line 1. You would hit copy, click on line 2, and watch these numbers, hit paste. And now it just pasted that in there. Double clicking these brings up your settings here. And let's talk about settings a little bit. These down here, this is your color palette on the bottom. It's programmable, and most people don't know this. Let's say this blue one I wanted to cut out. Well, I have red, O2, down here on the bottom. I have the red set to cut. Watch what happens when I click on the red. When I set it to the red, over here, it says cut, 150 speed, 85 power, which is usually what I cut almost everything with, and number of passes 5. The only thing I would change here is the number of passes. Now I also want you to notice something else that you probably haven't seen, and that is tabs and bridges. I have that enabled. This is what it's going to look like when you click on the red layer. But I have this set with tabs and bridges on, 0.05 tab size. I have 4 tabs on each item that's on the red layer, and I have the tab cut power at 70. So it doesn't cut all the way through, but yet it's not hard to cut the tabs out. So if I were cutting 3mm plywood, I would be able to just cut those tabs off with an X-Acto knife, or probably just pop it out. But it'll keep it on the workbed, keep it from falling out, because I use a raised workbed. So it keeps it on the workbed and it doesn't fall out, and I don't have to worry about the piece moving. I might be cutting out 12 different pieces out of that plywood. I don't want them falling out, and I don't want the piece to move. So I always have tabs and bridges on. So how do you do this? All you have to do is name this color palette. So I named this red one, cut. I set my speed. I set my power. I put it in constant power mode. I put it in line. And these are all the things that you're going to want to cut. Then I just put an arbitrary number for passes, because it depends on what material that I'm using. Will determine how many passes. Obviously, if I'm doing cardboard, it would be 1 pass. If I'm doing 3mm plywood, it's going to be 5 passes. I don't have a kerf offset in here because I'm not doing puzzles, and I'm not doing boxes or anything like that. This is for complete another video. I'm not doing perforation mode, and that's like if you wanted to fold something. So let's say if you were cutting cardboard, then you would set perforation mode, and you would set the skips in there, the cut and the skip, so that you'd be able to fold it, unfold it without it breaking apart. So it's sort of like, when you get a check in the mail and it's perforated, and that's what that mode is right there. But you do want to set tabs and bridges. And I set all of this up. I skip inner shapes because if I have something in the middle, I want that to burn first. So we're skipping inner shapes. And then I come down here to this button down here. Everyone ignores these buttons. And it's, it's just common that you want to get started, you want to get cutting, you want to get engraving, and you just ignore lots of things in Lightburn. But when you click on Make Default, that makes all of these settings the default setting for this palette color, this red palette color. And they'll always be there for you whenever you draw something in red. And that's a really great feature. Now, if I drew something in green, that would be a dark, here's a green one right here as an example. That would be a dark engraving at 1400 speed. That's my green setting. You probably don't ever want to set your laser at 100% power. I'm not too worried about it because I like to burn a little more quickly. I don't mind the fact that I might have to replace the laser after 3 months. Your power should be somewhere in the area of 60 to 85%. If you go above 85%, you reduce the life of the laser exponentially. So you probably want to stay under 85, maybe 60 to 75 max. Now also in here, without opening this up, you can set your speed and your power over here, and the number of passes. So that covers the cuts and layers. So let's move on to the laser. In the laser, this is just your controller. I'm sure you know what this does. Pause, stop, start, frame, rubber band frame. Rubber band frame is really nice when you're, let's say you've laser engraved something and you want to laser engrave something else later, a second process. You can line that up, and if you have a camera, really that's the best way to do it. But if you don't, you can use this rubber band frame over here for framing it up when it's like merged with another shape or right next to another shape, where it doesn't frame a rectangle or a square. It'll actually frame every little detail of, if I hit rubber band frame, it would start here and it would go like this and that. So it would be a very tight framing, so you'll know exactly where everything is going to be. G-code we're not going to get into. Your home button, your origin, user origin, diode laser, you're going to be down here on the bottom left. CO2, you might be top left, top right. My user origin is usually going to be bottom left, and you see it right here, bottom left. If I take everything out of here, it will go all the way down to the 0, 0 position down on the bottom, and that's the origin. With nothing there, that's the origin. With something there, it will move to the origin of the workpiece, which is right here, that little green dot. All right, so these are your devices. This is the one that I'm using right now, the Laser Master 2. It's on COM7. This button right here will show you a list of all of the devices that you have. So right now I am using this one. This one I'm still trying to get to work, but these are the different lasers that I have. This is the one I'm using. You can click Find My Laser if you plug in a new one, or you can create a new profile manually if you wanted to. So we're going to cancel that. If at any time you run into problems with your laser running into the sidewalls, or it's making a lot of noise and not going where you want it to go, just right click on this button. Clicking on this button will reset your laser. We're going to come back to here. So now, for instance, if I were to move this to the center, so I'll go ahead and click on that. I will put it directly in the center like so. I'll shrink this down a little bit, and we'll move it back to the center, and let's say I say frame. Right now the laser is framing it, although you can't see it, and it's finished its frame. If we come over here to move, actually if I do that again, let's do frame, come over here to move. Well, a little green line goes across the top so quickly you can't really even see it. So let's move on now to the Move tab, and the Move tab is basically like a regular controller. You can move it to the right, you can move it down, you can move it up, you can fire the laser. Okay, this is one thing here. Definitely you don't ever want to have this turned on if you have a CO2 laser. This is only for diode lasers. And if we come up here to device settings, you're probably going to have this off, enable laser fire button, when you first load your program. In fact, it will be off. If you have a diode laser, you turn this on. What you want to have on here is your origin. Mine is the front left. You also want to have on auto home on startup with the diode laser, and you definitely want to have on fast white space scan. So that if you're making, like, for instance, a rectangular frame, picture frame, it will travel very slowly on a 0 position, going back and forth across all of the white space. So I use fast white space scan. I run it from 3,000 to 6,000 millimeters per minute, depending on the job. So now we have our enable laser fire button on, enable out of bounds warning, and return to finished position. If you want here, you can set your finished position to whatever you like. 0, 0 is down here in the bottom corner. And on the diode laser, your max value is going to be 1,000. So up here you have additional settings, and this is just for your information to look at. It's definitely not going to be right. So basically what this is going to do is calibrate the preview window up here. Now mine is right, because I've read it from the controller. If I click read from controller, you'll see that nothing changed. But when you open this up for the first time, all of these numbers will be different. So, and that will throw off your preview. So when you go to preview and it says 1 hour and 53 minutes, and something actually, the burn actually took 2 hours and 53 minutes, well, you know that this device setting is wrong. When you read it from the controller, like I just did right now, and then I say, okay, when I come up here to preview, this number down here, the amount of time it's going to take to complete the burn, will be pretty close to accurate. Now on the fire button, I have my fire button set to 0.25%, not 25%, 0.25%. Basically all that does is turn on the laser so that I can do, like for instance, if I wanted to do a frame up here, what I would do is press the shift key and I would click frame, and that would turn on the laser, it would fire the laser, and it would make the frame so that you can see where it's going to be. Even if you use the rubber band frame, same thing, it's going to fire the laser, do the frame, and then turn off. This one, pressing this fire button, if I press this, you see it's red. Right now my laser is turned on. It will stay on until I turn it off. So now if you wanted to, so up here tells you the position of your laser, okay? If I were to come over here to this little set laser position, click on that and click here, for example, the laser just moved to that position, and you'll see that there it's just moved. Watch it again. See how it moved again? Alright, so that means that my laser is moving. This set position will automatically turn off after 15 seconds. And that's a good feature, because when you go to draw a rectangle 15 seconds later, see how it just turned off? And if I go and draw another rectangle, well, if it hadn't turned off by itself, it would have moved the laser right up to here. So that's a great feature with that turning off. In here, you have some saved positions. And what this is for, if I click on manage, I have several saved positions in here. If I click on manage, you'll see that I have different positions. I have a tile jig, I have a single tile jig, I have dog tags, I have round 3-inch, and let's move this over, round 3-inch coasters, I have cutting board. Okay, now what this is for, my tile jig as an example, the position of it, the X position is 4.0157, which I've actually read from the laser. When I set it in and I move the laser head to the beginning of that jig, the X position is this number, I've copied it, and the Y position is this number. And my jig will do 9 tiles. So I know that if I put my jig in and I select tile jig from here, it's going to burn all 9 tiles, and I don't have to worry about doing any framing whatsoever. And this is a really great feature. All I have to do is select tile jig, and it will move the laser to the right position to start the burn. So let's go ahead and add one. So let's add a new one, and let's name it over here, and we'll just name this one example. And let's say that it's going to start at 0, 0, which would be right here in the corner, which is very common for diode lasers. Now we have this example, we just say okay, and now it's in here. So all we'd have to do is click that, and that would be a position that the laser would move to. And once you've positioned your workpiece directly in the corner, you don't even need to frame it, because you know it's in the exact position. Alright, let's move on to the console. The console is where all of your Gerbil settings are, and this would actually be a whole another video all in itself, but just quickly to show you, if I were to type $, and press enter, it will show you all of my settings. So here are some of the settings that you can see and know. Right here is $130, $131. That's my X and Y position. I have a 400 by 430 laser bed. That just gives you all. The 1000 is this setting up in here. My S value max on the diode lasers, that's 1000. If you're having trouble with your laser burning or not burning, you may have the wrong S value max in here, and you could just set it here. You don't need to set it in the control panel. And then we have shape properties. So in the shape properties, there are quite a few things that you can do here. So let's take this shape right here, and let's say that we wanted to have rounded corners. We'd come over here to corner radius. We can click the up button, and this will give us the size. And right now we're in inches, so we have a 1-inch rounded corner. If we wanted a 1/2 inch, we could put 0.5 in here, and we'd have a 1/2 inch rounded corner. That's just one way of rounding corners. Over here we have the height the width that we could set. So now we've covered everything from cuts and layers, laser, move, console, and shape properties. So as far as the art library and the cut library, well, I'm not going to get into those today because I have a whole nother video on those. Hey, you know, something that I forgot to mention, I wanted to take a minute to thank all of my supporters lately that have been donating to the channel. I do have a link down in the description below, a donation link if these videos help you and if you wanted to make a donation. But I wanted to give a big shout out to a couple of my donors, Marks AFB and Antonio G. Man, let me tell you, thank you for those wonderful donations. And I'd like to say thank you to Rockin' T Woodshop, and you're very welcome. I got your note. Thank you to Anthony W. A big thank you to Impact R, Danny G, Roy B, John P, Mary S, and everybody else that's been sending in the donations. They really help out the channel a lot. It helps me to dedicate more time to this and less time to my part-time job. So I want to just send a big shout out to everybody who's been making donations and say thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to wrap this one up, and that is the end of workshop 4. So I hope you learned something today, and I hope this helped you out. And as always, thank you for watching.